Hello guys, welcome to another episode of Ripster Daily Trade Recaps and Teachings. Sorry for a late video today, late night video, was a bit pretty tied up today. Anyways, trying to get the video out with the recaps and today's trade, so I'm going to go through it a little fast today. So I'm going to try to go fast today guys. So anyways guys, those who are new, these are my trade recaps from my community, my trades that my community is taking, the traders are taking, any trade idea I share on Twitter, and we are trying to recap and see what were winners, what were losers. We always play repeatable setups. We do not play random trades. Our each play is something that we can repeat all over our trading career. So that's what we do every day. I wake up 1 hour before the market open. Me and my team, we go through all the news sources: market, pre-market news 1, pre-market news 2, pre-market news 3, and we look at analyst comments, and then we get our watch list news play ready, and we also get our levels ready for the pre-market so that we can use those levels to trade our plays. So anyways guys, this was a watch list for today. The main plays today was Caterpillar, McDonald, ON. NVDA also had a Goldman Sachs price target raise, so we were also trading NVIDIA. There were a bunch of day 2 setups today: Meta, Amazon, DEX, CHTR, Team, SKX. We are going to discuss those as well, see how each of the played today. Today was a decent day. There were not many losers, couple of losers for me, but the winners were really big. So we will discuss all that. We'll try to go through this video today quickly. So let's start. Let's start with our SPY QQQ trade in the morning. We were short on SPY and QQQ in the morning. The reason being, when SPY was breaking pre-market lows and QQQ was also breaking the pre-market lows, that was our short signal. Let's go back quickly, look at our levels. So SPY the support level was 492.70, QQQ support level was 427.90. 427.90. Right here, there are two levels, 427.90, and then there was a level on SPY pre-market lows right here. So anyways, we were short on SPY and QQQ at the open. Live voice guidance, we traded the short, and at the same time when we were trading SPY QQQ short, most of this guidance was on the voice. The pivot levels were given to everybody in the pre-market. You can see on this short, I almost doubled 100% on my puts on this SPY short that I was in SPY and SPX. And at the same time on this short, we were shorting AMD, we were short Tesla, and we were short Meta. So we'll discuss those three as well quickly, but I just want to discuss the midday reversal setup on SPY QQQQ. So if you see, of course we were trading short, but then there was a long on SPY mid of the day setup. You can really see swipe here, higher lows, 512 curls, 512 curls, and we were discussing all this. You see, I was saying SPY 512 curl, same for QQQ. Then there's my price alerts going in, then we are curling over 512s, and then whenever we curl over 512s, our next target is over 3450. It pushed over 3450, pulled back, created and tried to create a handle, but ended up created a flag for another push over 3450. So you can always add when you see high candles or a push over 512s with your risk under this candle, and your first target is always 3450. And the next trade would be this pullback to this level, this cloud level. This is where you add on this pullback for the next trade. So that's exactly what we did. So guys, that was it. SPY short in the morning and the reversal trade in the evening. All guidance live in the community, on voice and on my on my feed on my tenant community. So one thing to note, IWM was also a short today. IWM, you can see here, was also a short. If we look at the IWM pivots were 199, 153, 192.20, 192.20. That was the IWM pivot broke down. So you could literally short anything because we were bearish. Every day I come on the voice in the morning and let everybody know what is the bias on the market, right? If the bias on the market is bearish, the system is bearish, we stay short. So today the bias was short on the market, even though there were some relative strength movers. We will discuss it, and we will also discuss our other shorts in the market as well. Let's quickly look at our NVDA trade. So NVIDIA had an upgrade. What was the pivot that I gave everybody in the pre-market on NVIDIA? Let's look at that. The pivot on NVIDIA was in the news plays. Here you go. NVIDIA, the pivot was to the upside 687, and 675 was the support level on NVIDIA. Let's see how NVIDIA played out today. So anyways, guys, so 675 was the support pivot and 687 was the breakout pivot. So we were long on the NVIDIA in the morning. I was a long, and then it dipped down. It dipped back, and then I was long again on that dip. You know, so we were trading 700 calls, 710 calls. We were trading all those. So let's see if I can show you. Yeah, so we were trading those calls as well, and market was weak, so that's why it spoiled the breakout. So 687 breakout happens, we push to 694. So that was a decent move on that. 710 calls went from like $5 to $9 on that push, and you can see on 3-minute chart. Let's go. You can see here, right? So we were trading this breakout. It pulls back, it pulls back, it pulls back, and I say we add the pullback. Let's see. Let me see if I can show you that. So we were adding the pullbacks on NVIDIA. Let's see if I can find that. Let's see. Yeah, so you can see here, this was NVIDIA. Added some on this pullback at 937s. I added some on this pullbacks when this pullback happened. I already also have added at the open when I was talking to everyone, and then finally it held up. It pushed to 695. So dip ads were working. Morning ad was okay. You know, we averaged down because risk was clear. Risk was clear on this EMA Cloud dips. And then when it breaks this M512, that's when I exit because it was breaking down. You know, I still exiting in profit. Remember, my first ads were the breakout, second ads were the dips, and we still got the 60, 694s. So not a big trade, but decent win. So I exited here. You can see here, I say that exited rest of the longs at 10 a.m. pullback. And that was a wise decision because I knew it's going to pull back to 34.50. And when it pulls back to 34.50, and you know, we saved a lot of drawdown, almost $10 drawdown. Then the call flow starts to come in. Crazy amount of call flow starts to come in. And what are the technicals doing? At the same time, technicals are pushing over 34.50 cloud. So that, and the market also started to reverse. So that's what I said. If the market is reversing, watch those longs. Watch those longs. And so many calls were coming in, and that was another long on NVIDIA. When you see this hammer candle back over 34.50, that's when you long again, and you trade up into the high of the days again. Most of us got shook out on this pullback, and then NVIDIA still ran to 700. I did tell everybody in the end, those who were still in there, that if you want to swing, of course, you know, we will see the 700. So 700 has been my target since morning. Only swing what you can afford to lose. If you have made money on NVIDIA since morning, then use that money to swing. Do not swing a big size or risk too much. But 700 was my target. We are meeting that target after hours. I don't know how long NVIDIA keeps doing this, but it's definitely getting extended. There'll be surely one day when it pulls back a huge level. So anyways, guys, let's go to the next play. All right, guys, let's talk about SMCI. So what were the levels on SMCI today? So resistance pivots were clear: 593, 600, and 606. So 606 is psychological level, 600 is psychological level, always a psych level breakout. You see right here, breaking out, and this was the first pivot I gave everyone. The first pivot I gave everyone on SMCI. When this pivot breaks, that's the first long. Your risk is, you know, under this candle low, $6 risk or $7 risk, and then you take long. Remember, your size is according to how the stock moves. You can't put $1 or $2 stop. Your stop has to be $6-7 here, because that is the range of the stock. Anyways, then it was all about following our targets. All day guidance on SMCI, 615 was my first target, then 620. At this point, you just trade 5 multiple targets. That's how you traded. My final target was 650 for the day. And look at how I was talking about these flags all day, right? Flag. And I told people it's holding the trend. Never once did it break 512 EMAs. If you chopped out, then that was your problem, your sizing. But the system never failed. The system held all day. And my next target was 662, was my fib level. We touched that 662 fib level, and it's still making highs. I still have some lotos on these, but I closed most of my position earlier. I should have kept my shares as well, but I didn't. The risking the shares in after hours, it's, if I have shares and there's no bid ask spread and it's gapping down $30-40, then I lose a lot. When I risk lotos in after hours, I have defined risk. If I'm losing, let's say $1,000, I will not lose anymore because that's a lotto. I risk 100% there. So that's why on such movers you can risk those lotos with profit. I close my shares, reason being, if I keep the shares, then I have a higher risk, because if I'm not able to stop out, it's something comes up early in the morning, the bid ask spread is big. So that's why not always wise to keep a big position on the shares. That's why I closed it, but have a small lotto. So let's see, 700 will be big resistance. Again we're going to have a one big day of big red day. But we can only manage risk. We are not going to go crazy sizing. If we see a red day, we short. If we see a green day, we follow the system, right? We were short yesterday. You saw that we were short under the clouds. Once it breaks clouds again, we'll short again. So we just trade the trend, right? Both of them are SMCI and NVDA, the full euphoria, full FOMO. Yes, can they keep running? Yes, they can probably keep running a bit more. But will they eventually fade? Yes, they will. But would you get trying to predict the top? No, we are not trying to predict the top. We will be ready when it's a red day. So that's for SMCI and NVDA, guys. All right, guys, Google. Google was along this morning. Let's go back, look at the Google pivots. So Google pivots were 143, 144. Reason I was long Google was a relative strength, and also it was a day 3 setup. Because we had earnings. I've been watching Google's from that 139 level for a while, and it has been lagging. And Google was day 1, day 2, day 3. It was actually day 4. So what happened, Google? As soon as market opened, I longed Google. I told everybody to long. My first target was 145.50, and it took some time to get there. It was choppy on the way, right? It took some time. Look at the high of the day that it made. Look at the high of the day that Google made. What do you see? So what you see is 3 cents short of my target, right? 145.50, 3 cents short of my target. But that was enough move, because the 145 calls moved 100% since open. So it was a nice 100% trade. If you traded options, it was a decent $2 per share trade if you traded the shares. So that was a Google morning long winning. So guys, AMD, what was the pivots on AMD? The pivot on AMD was 177 and 178. And remember, SPY was tanking. I already showed you we were short there, but when AMD breaks the clouds, excuse me, when AMD breaks the clouds, the first pivot, the second pivot, it's the short. It's purely a short. There's no long there. I told everybody no long there, of only short scalps, and it kept fading, and 171 was my target. And then I also gave a B minus long at 171, and you can see with the QQQ it did bounce from that, if you risked $1, bounce to 175. So AMD was a decent play, short in the morning and then curl in the middle of the day. But this was the main play in the morning, repeatable setup, short. You can see the pivots, you can see my comments, and I was also on voice telling everybody about this play. All right, guys, let's look at Tesla. So Tesla, guys, let's just let's look at this picture here. Let's look at this one. So you can see Tesla, if you want to see my pivot levels, I gave a pivot level of 182, 184. 184 is breaking down. That's a clear short. No need to think too much about it. Then 184 is breaking down. It's clear short. Look at the daily breakdown. Look at the 1 hour breakdown, right? Only bearish, no long. And my final target was 175. And let me show you what happened. Look at that. Low of the day, 175, guys, right on the target. These targets are not that hard. Just draw your lines on the charts, go back, use these whole numbers, use these 5 multiples, use Fibonacci's, use weekly, daily charts. You can find these levels easily. So anyways, guys, big win on Tesla. You can see all the comments I shared. You can see the screenshot and on the voice. So another beautiful winner on Tesla. You just had to follow the pivots, the system, the clouds, and the guidance. All right, guys, let's look at Tyson Foods. Tyson Foods a loser for me today. Tyson Foods, the plan was bullish to neutral and the breakout over 60. So it was breaking out over 60. That's when I took a position to long it, and then I added the pullbacks and right here, but the pullback did not hold. I added the breakout, I was not, and then I added the pullback. But when this was happening, 512 breaking down, that I knew I had to get out. So I just got out, just took $1 loss on there, nothing big. But imagine, look here, when we took this loss, how much money we saved, right? It faded for a full gap fill trade, So I could have shorted it, but I was busy with other plays. But you always change your bias. Look at the opportunities. Get out, turn short. If you shorted here, you made $3 a short on Tyson Foods from 59 all the way to 56. These are the opportunities that you need to take. And the system clearly told you, breaking 512, get out. Let's look at Caterpillar, guys. Caterpillar, I mean, there was, I was looking for a long, frankly, because it has been a good winner for us. 337 was my resistance pivot, support was 320, 318, this was the plan. If you look at Caterpillar, it never gave me a signal to long. That's what I said. It's never gave me a signal to long, and it was looking weak. It was looking weak. I know some people were in the community were short on it into this gap fill, and I was on the voice talking about the weakness. I know a lot of people were shorted on the cat. Let's see. Yeah, Raggy was short, Prakash was short. A lot of people were short because when it's not long, it's a short. It's that simple, because it's breaking, and it's similar to Tyson Foods, right? Gap fill, rejected the resistance. When this kind of rejection happens, this is your risk. High of the candle, high of the day, pre-market highs. These are your risk levels, but it might be too big of a risk if you're shorting here. But you can always start a B minus short here. The chart was bullish, that's why I ignored it. But when I saw this weakness, that's when it was a short. You use high of the 10-minute candle as your risk. You trade the gap fill. So that was a gap fill short today in the community. All right, guys, let's look at. So I'm going to talk about Caterpillar here. So Caterpillar I was looking for a long because the chart was all-time highs, but it never triggered. Let's look at whatever our pivots on Caterpillar. Our pivots on Caterpillar, guys, were 318.20, 337. So 337 never broke out. It never gave me a signal to long. It never showed me a higher lows. It never showed me anything that I should long there. I was on a voice. I was telling people I have no direction yet. It's still weak. I have no direction yet. And when it was breaking down 512, that was signal to the short. And a lot of people in the community were short in Caterpillar as well. When it was breaking down, Raggy was short. Look at the gap fill. You should change buys. If it's not a long, it's a short because it's breaking the pivot levels. It's breaking the EMA system. Then even if you took the 3450 break, even then it was a good fade there. So that was a gap fill, long void. good gap. Let's look at McDonald's, guys. So MACD was a short today. Reason being the chart was breaking 50 EMA on the daily. 1 hour was bearish. Everything was bearish, and so that's why I was looking for a short under a daily. You can see the daily chart was breaking this, and then it was under the clouds. It was an A+ system. It was under the pivots. We can go back, look at the pivots that I gave in the pre-market on MACD. The support was 290, right? So once 290 is given, that's it. It's a short, no questions asked. So that's why my guidance was MACD looking for the short entry. I wanted to short a pop. That's what I told everybody. It popped, it short. I missed a good entry, but I did take an entry later on this later bounce, and then I told everybody that stay short, low of the day, first target. So it faded from 290, first target 285, and it was all day short. I told everybody, even in the afternoon, not a single time it gave us a reason to cover. So it was supposed to be covered end of the day when it reclaimed 512s, but it was short from 290 all the way to 283, a $7 or $6 per share short. Beautiful move. MACD came with the prep in the pre-market, worked flawlessly for us. All right, I'm going to discuss Meta quickly. So guys, as you saw me earlier, what was my pivots on Meta? I clearly gave the pivots on Meta in the news play as a day 2 setup. 471.40 was a support pivot. Look here, 471.40 support pivot break. It's a short. It's a no long. It's a short. Like I said earlier, Meta, AMD, all of them, they are short. And my first target I gave everybody is the 460. Should be your first target. Meta bearish short under the pivots. Do not long it. Can scalp shorts. I kept saying that. Still heavy, and then it kept fading. Then it pulled to 460. So let's see. We did good. We did good money on short. Now how did we long it? We tried twice to long it. I saw a buyer at 460. You can see 1 candle, 2 candle, a lot of big buyer at 460. I tried to long here. Took a starter. It pushed higher. Then it broke down. Took a loss. Got out. But then again, look at the buyer. You don't need to see level 2. The candles can tell you there's a buyer at 460. Look at this buyer. So this buyer is trying to buy here. It buys again. And this time we saw flow. And this time we saw the flow. And I even gave this idea on Twitter to people. You can see I can show you the downtrend candle here that I drew on Meta, so you can see how the breakout happened, right? So this was the reversal push that we took long. You can look at my, you can pause it and look at my timestamp guidance here. So I said 463 held 3 times, big buyer, watch if calls over 512, the risk is 460. Never broke my 460 though, right? I did get out on the this first rejection because I knew it can pull back to 460. But when I saw the 460 again, that's when I took another long, and that's when the call flow started in. That's when it broke this nice reversal candle, and then went over 3440, 3450. My target was 470, pushed to 468. I had left 1/3, but when it broke 3450, I exited the whole piece. And look again, if I did not exit here, I would have been bigger loss. And Meta can fade more tomorrow because the way it's breaking down 460, that's not really good. So tomorrow we only long if it gets over 460. So that was Meta, guys. Let's discuss this ON semiconductor. It's another semiconductor. Semiconductors are strong, so I had a bullish to neutral bias on this. My resistance was 76.30. My support areas were 71, 73. I couldn't get an entry, but other traders got an entry because I was expecting a little better pullback, but it pulled back to 512 EMA Clouds, and then it pushed over the 76.30 pivots again, and then it pushed all day back to highs to 79. So good job by the traders who did it, but the bias was correct. The idea was correct. I just couldn't really get a good entry. As you see, I told everybody watch for pullbacks, and this was a 512 pullback setup. Let's look at a couple of day 2 setups, guys. As you know, day 2 setups, I love day 2 setups. Here are my day 2 setups, CHTR and deck, support pivots 875, 316, and CHTR, I already told everybody in the pre-market, room to 300 under the previous day lows, and it was stress-free. Breaks the previous day low. If you focused on CHTR, I gave the target to 300. If we met 303, you just had to stay short all day. You know, even if you traded first 1 hour, you got 305 target. That was easy. Let's look at deck. So deck was similar setup. Day 2 under the clouds. These are my day 2 rules that I discuss in the community. I discuss in my webinars about the day 2 setups. If they are breaking under the pivots, under the clouds, the day 2 you can fade. If they're extension, if they hold the clouds, the day 2s are the longs. And this was a day 2 nice fade, breaking down, faded from 870s. We can go back, look at my pivot on deck, right? 870, 875. Those are the two levels I gave. 870 breaks all the way, fade, $20 fade to 850. So these were day 2 setups, decent setups, stress-free. If you like to trade stress-free, less crowded trades, you stick with the day 2 setups. All right, guys, I'm not going to talk about these obesity drug stocks. So the main play today was CTLT, which was bought out by Nova Holdings for $63.50. It was a buyout. But what does these companies do? They make obesity drugs, and CTL and NVO makes obesity drugs, and they bought CTLT, and they're the leaders, right? This and Lilly are the leaders, and I saw the strength at the open. Usually when some company buys other company, it shows a weakness, but NVO was showing strength at open. I told everybody watch entry for longs. Lilly over 700 will be the push. NVO will be 120 target, and they worked out, and NVO met 120, and Lilly over 700 went to 707. So they were great trades to scalp long. Initial breakout, push to 710s, push later 512 reclaim if you wanted to long again from 700. You could have traded it twice, again from 700, again it went to 712s, right? NVO, the first push hit 118.50, coming back, reclaim the clouds, second push also pushed to 118.50, and now it's touching 120. So those were just, you need to keep eye on the sectors. That's how we keep eye on other names, similar sectors that impact the other stocks. That's how we were able to find NVO and Lilly. That's how we were able to nail them. Lilly has earning tomorrow, so I told everybody, no position into the earnings. We'll trade Lilly accordingly, see what it gives us tomorrow. All right, guys, that's it for today. Sorry for late video. I'll see you guys tomorrow. If you want to trade with me, come to my community. Come for ideas. Do not come for alert. Come for education and guidance. Take care. Bye-bye.